Welcome in, everyone. My name is Ruth, and I'm going to be doing a reading about the convergence of timelines that happened around the collision between the Black Hawk helicopter and the plane. And I did a reading at first, and I recently took down that video because I felt like it was tapping into either one timeline or one piece of information. So psychics and intuitives can tap into thought forms as well. So if the media wants to spin a story, you can tap into all the information required to spin that story. You can tap into all the information that has been collected in people's speculation. That creates like an energetic thought form as well. So I was worried that I was tapping into a premature story spun by the media. I had done it on the transgender situation, and although I didn't get a yes or no on if it was exactly that person, I did get that it was a suicide, and I felt a grief, but the grief was distant. It felt as if people were not going to grieve that person at all or for long. So it felt very, very strange. So I pulled back and I just sat with the information. I got together with several intuitives, and we all very well felt that there was a lot of stories being spun about this collision, but the real truth wasn't being told. So I sat with spirit and I went into a meditation and I pulled some information out. I got some inkling tugging at the back of my mind that was saying this was several types of possibilities that could have happened, several timelines, and was it repaired? I had that question. Was this a freak event, but then the people who know how to operate the timelines of Earth actually repaired it? So a timeline is a trajectory of events that happen that pulls the consciousness of the collective of all of humanity with it. So for example, 9/11, that tragic event was a timeline trajectory. All of humanity followed that timeline. It set the stage for the Iraq War. It set the stage for the Patriot Act. And so we entered into a timeline at that point. So there are times when you can hijack a timeline by creating an event, a false flag, a horrible situation, and it steers politics, it steers humanity's thoughts, it steers policies, it steers laws, nations, alliances, even wars. It can steer an entire planet into a timeline based on large-scale political incidences or decisions. So my question that was nagging at me is, was this a convergence of timelines? And was it apparently the ascended ones, and even they have several technologies, supercomputers, technologies that can actually repair the timeline and make it happen accurately. So, and this was told that this is what happened with the President Trump assassination, that was actually several attempts, and in other timelines he was actually killed. So my question is, was this a potential timeline? So I went into a meditation, a trance, and I called in Archangel Michael, and I saw Archangel Michael, and it was like Archangel Michael would look at me and then he'd look to the side. He would look at me and he'd look to the side, and he said these words to me: the convergence of time. The convergence of time. So I asked, and I began seeing different scenarios or different events pop up. And one of them was indeed the suicide of a transgender pilot. That would have been one timeline. The anger and the frustration of previous executive orders that said transgenders cannot be on active duty. This would have been a freak attack of lashing out that was one potential timeline of somebody, and it might not have been that transgender, but it might have been somebody who was just angry at the Trump administration. But that a suicide collision was a possible timeline. Another one was a dystopian timeline, and these were both remote controlled. We were much more advanced as a society, and all of our aircrafts were remote controlled. And at this moment, I kind of want to feel like I'm gonna maybe, vomit, which means that this was a very low grade dystopian timeline. This was a very AI controlled. It was not organic at all. So this was a remote control when both were remote controlled, and as part of the wars, part of some sort of disagreement between political sides. I have no clue if the Trump administration was even in here, but it was a potential timeline. And I asked how many timelines, Archangel Michael, and I heard 4 timelines. So one would have been a suicide, one would have been a dystopian, remote-controlled AI society, still fighting on this planet. The third one I saw, now take all of these with a grain of salt, because this is new for me, okay? The third one was a deep state attack with a helicopter intervention. It was almost like the deep state, the dark ones were coming on the plane, and a pilot or somebody, I did see the helicopter as being, so it could have been a trajectory of the pilot, and the pilot and the helicopter went into the plane as an intervention to stop a mass hysteric catastrophe. I'm seeing sort of like the pilot might have ejected and just ran the helicopter into the plane. Again, I saw these really quick. But the fourth one, I asked Spirit, which timeline are we currently in? And at that moment, I saw the 2 pilots, okay? Because there is a death, and there is currently going to be a funeral for a pilot in this timeline. And at that point, it didn't feel like it was the current one who died. The would you call it the first? It was the second one, the assistant. There's a name for that, co-pilot. I knew that. The co-pilot of the helicopter. And I focused in on him, and at that point, I had this massive feeling inside my neck, like it was a microchip, and it just began to like burn and throb. So I feel that there was a mental reaction to either a microchip or a nanobot in the co-pilot. And that's the current timeline we chose to go in. And it's interesting, Spirit showed me in this current timeline that it's not declassified, it's not released to the public, the names. At least it was for 2 to 3 days after the collision. That co-pilot was not released to the public. So that made me think that co-pilot was under investigation, or was under, and of course it passed. He passed away. He or she passed away. But was that co-pilot under investigation, or were they investigating what happened to the co-pilot? Maybe I should say that. So Spirit showed me that now they're in a repair of the timeline, repairing the timeline. This is a 0-point energy stillness. And this is why some light workers and other people feel like some of their life has come to a halt, like they can't see forward, they can't see, because the timeline is actually being repaired, and then it's going to continue onto the highest timeline, the Golden Age timeline. So it's like a moment where all the energy has to just converge, and we need a lot of light on this planet to heal it, to keep society in a concrete, stabilized position. And this is why I feel a lot of us light workers, and a lot of us, and when I say light workers, I just mean beings of light, people connected to their higher self. We feel this massive stillness, and we feel like we can't see anything. We can't see our futures, we can't see around us, we can't see what's going on, we can't intuit anything, we can't, our intuition is kind of like, I can only see today, and that's it. This is also why the confirmation hearings and the votes for Cashapp Patel and Tulsi Gabbard that happened on that day, they were happening on that day during this helicopter crash, the votes were not released for several days. I, at the timing of this video, still do not know if Cashapp Patel and Tulsi Gabbard were confirmed. Now, who are they? They're just members on Trump's cabinet. And they do involve intelligence agencies as well. Like, they're going to be confirmed to oversee some kind of intelligence. So it's very interesting that it happened on that day. And it's interesting. Okay, so let's go ahead and do a quick timeline pull. Spirit, what can you tell us about this convergence of time? Any other information? We want to thank Archangel Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel for their assistance today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We ask for truth only as it's for our best and highest good. We ask for truth only as it's for our best and highest good. We have this card that fell out, Four of Water. Hidden information, but also an offer. Interesting. Something that was offered to somebody, but it's not seen. Five of Air. This is a conflict, a war. This was a lot of conflict, a lot of war. I keep hearing the word dystopian timeline. So I think that we were in danger of going into a timeline that would have greatly hindered the times in what we're going through today. It would have shocked humanity. Seven of Earth and the Matrix. They're trying to get us to go backwards in time. Backwards in time to the Matrix, when the Matrix was actually controlled by AI. It was an attempt to shock the timeline into an AI-controlled timeline. When I say AI, it's controlled by nanobots, it's controlled by the jab, it's controlled, the people are a lot more, in this dystopian timeline, I saw people a lot more infected with technology. I saw everything more remote controlled, like the vehicles, the aircraft were all remote controlled, and there was just a lot of war and panic on the planet. So this was an attempt to try to shock the US to somehow, or the world to somehow connect back to that timeline. Okay, let's go ahead and get a full pull though. What can you tell us about the current timeline that we're in? This is also why there are several hints on social media by world leaders such as President Trump that this was a remote controlled or that this was a conspiracy theory. Some of those texts, I saw this when I was with Archangel Michael, some of those media posts trickled in from some of those older timelines. That's what I saw. And so it's sort of like you can't clean up the entire timeline and make it completely this timeline. There's going to be a trickle effect. This is why the article happened with the transgender pilot, pinning it on this still alive, perfectly well transgender pilot. And that was a bleed over into this timeline. Well, you got that wrong. Somebody really thought they got it right. Somebody actually thought they had the right information, and then it finds out there wasn't. And there's that confusion, sort of like me pulling on certain cards. It's like I tapped into a timeline, but then it didn't quite happen right. So very interesting here. And it's 12:13 on my clock. So that's progression. 12:13, and now it's 12:14. So there's definitely progression here. What can you tell us about the current timeline we are in? Timeline shift, Chariot card. The war, okay, and this is, there was definitely a repair. We have the eight of fire. Intense energy came into the planet. We have the 4 of water again, and then the 5 of air, and this is the war. So this is the offer or the attempt to repair a timeline. This was an attempt, and it's taking a lot of energy from the cosmos to reset humanity. Let's go ahead and do a full pull now. What can you tell us about this current timeline? It's being repaired. I keep hearing those words. It's being repaired. Okay, one of the reasons that's taking it to be repaired and why it's taking so long, which could be why we're not moving forward with certain political events, or we as people are feeling like we can't move forward, is because there was a lot of stress. This card is the panic, the chaos, the negative emotions, the fear on social media. That is what is being the hardest to repair. all the words, all the articles, all the thought forms, all the grief on the internet is what's the hardest to repair. And so they're trying to, and they end one kind of timeline. They ended it. And so all the internet articles in one timeline exclaiming and proclaiming and announcing this crash happened because of this, this, and this. All that information in thought form has to be healed and alchemized. And it's taking a lot of effort. 7 of air. There's just so much information that's on this planet right now. It's actually creating like headspace. And it's interesting because I have a small pain right here in my right eye, and I still have that pain right here in the back of my neck. And Hangman. This has definitely put the world into a slightly more uncomfortable position. We as humanity are going to feel the impact of this timeline shift a little bit longer than we realize. Now I want to pull out this deck and ask, what are the effects that we're going to feel because of this convergence of time? What are the effects we're going to feel because of this convergence of time? Okay. The Moon card. A lot of corruption and exposure, illumination. 7 of Pentacles, hidden secret from the past. In Page of Cups. The Page of Cups here is, I'm hearing the word children. Children. So something might actually come out about this. Some sort of children, how children are being treated is going to be revealed in this current timeline. I don't know what that means, but something about children, we're just going to leave. That's one thing that's going to happen. Is this a save the children kind of experience? Those of you who know about the massive trafficking. I do know that there were children on that plane, but something about the past and corruption is going to be illuminated. This could also be fake children. Let's go ahead and pull some more cards on that. I don't know what that means, but I'm tapping into something here. Oh, fake. Page, 2 pages. Page of Cups and Page of Swords. Choice, the Lover's card. Okay, there's definitely a choice here. What is this Lover's card? I'm seeing the Caretakers. Judgment and the Emperor. Okay, there's definitely going to be some sort of leadership taken concerning the children on this plane. And this could be public or it could be hidden. But either way, there's something coming out about needing to heal, balance, and raise the situation. Something is being exposed, and there's definitely a choice point for humanity with this Emperor card. Okay. What else are we going to be? It looks like it's a positive outcome concerning the children, but it is a revealing of corruption. We're just going to leave it there. What can you tell us else about this timeline because of this current trajectory of events? Interesting. We have the Hermit card come up, the Emperor card come up again, the Hermit card come up, and the Knight of Cups. And this in this deck is the Children card. But the Knight of Cups is healing, balancing. So there's something here about balancing, and I'm seeing a person behind the scenes. This could be a leader that's needing to change his policies and make some internal decisions that nobody else can see. Well, the key people can see, as, what's that phrase, need to know basis. It looks like Mr. Trump is behind the scenes making some serious decisions because of something involving children. We're just going to leave it there. Yeah, something involving children. He made some serious decisions based in this timeline, and he's heavily involved in rescuing, saving, helping children. And that is one of the key focuses of this timeline, and we're going to see come out. There might even be just closure around the children in this timeline. So I asked the question, what can you tell me about the current timeline we're in? And save the children seems to be a major theme. Interesting. Very, very interesting. And that's what came up both times. So it's a very important message here. Okay, is there anything else you wish to tell us about this collision that we can know for our best and highest good? So again, the timeline is probably going to be painted that the co-pilot had something wrong with him. That's probably how it's going to be painted in this timeline. Okay, there's going to be we have 4 of Earth, which is stolen resources, resources that have been kept to themselves, and this is a rise of resources. So some sort of controlled resources is going to be released. This is having to do with the financial system. This is another key that Spirit wants us to know about our new timeline that has been alchemized into the timeline. So I'm hearing the words, once it's repaired, the financial system is still going to bloom. Not still going to bloom, is going to bloom. So the first timeline that converged with us was a timeline of the pilot, something about the co-pilot is something was wrong with them. That's what's going to be in this timeline. And then we're going to have a major focus on children. And then once the timeline is completely repaired and we continue onto the timeline that we're supposed to be on as an ascending race, it's going to be the birth of the financial system, a new financial system that is also geared. And this is the Doge. This is upgraded technology, the Doge system, the Elon Musk financial system. I have seen in other card pulls that Elon Musk has a system, the foundational internet digital system for our new asset-backed, gold-backed currency. And so this technology is still coming through. It's still going to shift us into a much more financially stable, abundant timeline. So we have one timeline healing, and it's connecting to the Golden Age timeline. I hope that this helped you. I know that it helped me. I have a lot more clarity. Again, take it as it resonates. I'm not sure if I'm even going to post the other video that I did. I put it online for like a day or two, and then I took it down because something wasn't right. And this makes sense to me. This resonates with me. Something is going on, and it's bigger than our human little brains can handle or can resonate with. But I'm curious to see how the events unfold. If you would like to support me, the links are below, and I will see you in our next reading. Bye.